Morning, folks. Just checking to see that I'm all connected. Peruzza.
Good morning, Councillor Peruzza. We could hear you. Thank you.
Good morning, everyone. I'm Councillor Stephen Holliday. I'm the chair of the Etobicoke York Community Council. We have quorum, and I'm now calling meeting number 25 to order. Welcome, everyone. Today's meeting is being held by video conference and in person at the Etobicoke Civic Centre in the council chamber. The meeting is also being live streamed online at youtube.com/Toronto City Council Live. Although we may be meeting in different locations today, Community Council would like to acknowledge that the land we are meeting on is the traditional territory of many nations, including the Mississaugas of the Credit, the Anishinaabe, the Chippewa, the Haudenosaunee, the Wendat peoples, and is now home to many diverse First Nations, Inuit, and Métis peoples. We also acknowledge that Toronto is covered by Treaty 13 with the Mississaugas of the Credit. If you're registered to speak at today's meeting, please listen for me to call your name. I will call speakers in the order they appear on the list. The list of speakers can be viewed online by visiting the Etobicoke York Community Council page at toronto.ca/council and clicking the speakers box. Members, the clerk has provided all agenda materials on toronto.ca/council and on the CMP, the clerk's meeting portal. Clerk's IT staff are available to members if you need help with your devices. I also want to remind you to please submit and approve your motions by email. Staff are available at etcc@toronto.ca to help with motions. Are there any declarations of interest under the Municipal Conflict of Interest Act? If you do have an interest, please indicate the item number and the nature of the interest. Seeing none, we will proceed. May I have a motion to confirm the minutes from our meeting on July 3rd, 2025? Deputy Mayor Morley moves. All those in favor? Any opposed? That carries. Thank you. We'll go through the items. The first item is EY 25.1, which is 3807 to 3815 and 3819 to 3829 Lakeshore Boulevard West Official Plan and Zoning Bylaw Amendment Application, a decision report that will be held Nope, Councillor Morley.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. I'd like to hold this item. I have a motion as well as some questions for staff.
Thank you. Councillor Morley is holding the item. Next item is related to that, EY 25.2, 3807 to 3815 and 3819 to 3829 Lakeshore Boulevard West Rental Housing Demolition Application is a decision report. Councillor Morley.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. I do have a motion on this one
Okay.
as well. Can I move that now or should I hold?
Madam Clerk, you have the motion ready?
So the motion, Mr. Chair, is to refer the item to the Director of Strategic Initiatives, Policy and Analysis.
We'll just give the clerks a moment to get that motion ready.
No problem.
Councillor Morley is moving a referral.
We'll need to wait for resolution at the OLT before we can receive this item.
All those in favor? Any opposed? The amendment carries.
Thank you.
EY 25.3, which is 2335 St. Clair Avenue West Zoning Bylaw Amendment Application is a decision. This will be held for speakers. EY 25.4, 564 to 580 Evans Avenue Zoning Bylaw Amendment, adding a holding provision. Councillor Morley.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. I'll be supporting staff recommendations.
Councillor Morley moves the staff recommendations. All those in favor? Any opposed? That carries. EY 25.5, 875 the Queensway, Class 4 Noise Area Classification, NPC 300. Councillor Morley.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. With thanks to staff, we'll be moving this technical amendment following their recommendations.
Councillor Morley is moving the staff recommendations. All those in favor? Any opposed? That item carries. EY 25.6, Lakeshore Boulevard West Study Status Report. Councillor Morley.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. Similarly here, following staff recommendations.
Councillor Morley is moving receipt. All those in favor? Any opposed? That carries. EY 25.7, 76 Coral Gable Drive Residential Demolition Application.
I'd like to move, it's Peruzza. I'd like to move the recommendation number 3 with a slight addition. I believe the clerk has it, and if she'd like to put it in.
Councillor Peruzza, we have a registered speaker, so I have to hold this item.
Okay, then, Mr. Chair, can I just table my motion so that you introduce it when the item then next comes up?
Yeah, we have to hear the speakers first. That's the advice of the clerk.
No, I understand that, and I hear you. But just so you know that that the clerk has my motion, recommendation 3, when the matter next does come up. So do I need to then move it then, or can I just table it now and you activate the motion then?
So you're essentially pre-circulating motion number 3. So I think we got that, Councillor Peruzza, but you'll have to move it once we come to speakers.
Sure, let's do it that way. Perfect.
Thank you, Councillor. EY 25.8, 14 Lippincott Street. Application for fence exemption. Councillor Nunziata, there's a speaker on this, so we'll hold it. EY 25.9, 2 Fairweather Road, application for fence exemption. There's also a speaker registered for this. We'll hold it. EY 25.10, secondary uses in the Islington Avenue to Royal York Hydro 1 corridor. We have a speaker registered, so that'll be held. EY 25.11, changes to the Business Improvement Area Boards of Management. This is, it's actually labeled as a Ward 3.
And also Ward 5. Second page is Ward 5.
It's also Ward 5. May I have a motion from one of the members?
So, yeah.
Councillor Nunziata moves the recommendations before us. All those in favor? Any opposed? That carries. EY 25.12, Oakdale Road and Eddystone Avenue, traffic control signals. Councillor Perruzza.
Yeah, I'd like to move that, defer that to the November meeting of Etobicoke Council. Mr. Chair.
Councillor Perruzza. The clerk just asked for a moment. Councillor Perruzza moves deferral to next day. All those in favor? Any opposed? That carries. November 26th. Deferral till November 26th. EY 25.13, proposed crosswalk marking policy and all-way stop sign control justification policy. There is a staff presentation, and I have a couple of questions, so I'm going to request a hold on that.
Yeah, okay.
Okay. EY 25.14, lane designation, Kipling Avenue at Steeles Avenue West. This is in Ward 1. Would a member like to move the recommendations before us? Councillor Morley moves the recommendations. All those in favor? Any opposed? That carries. EY 25.15, Milkwood Avenue, traffic calming speed humps. This is a staff report. This is Councillor Crisanti's item in Ward 1. Would someone like to move the recommendations? Councillor Nunziata moves the recommendations. All those in favor? Any opposed? That carries. EY 25.16, Speers Avenue, traffic calming, speed humps. Councillor Nunziata.
Yes, I'll move the staff recommendation.
Councillor Nunziata moves the staff recommendations. All those in favor? Any opposed? That item carries. EY 25.17, Eltham Drive, school bus loading zone. Councillor Morley.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. I'll be moving staff recommendations.
Councillor Morley moves the staff recommendations. All those in favor? Any opposed? That carries. EY 25.18, Albright Avenue, parking amendments. There are speakers, so that item will be held. EY 25.19, Fordhouse Boulevard, parking amendments. Councillor Morley.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. Moving staff recommendations.
Councillor Morley moves the staff recommendations. All those in favor? Any opposed? That carries. EY 25.20, Milton Street, parking amendments. Councillor Morley.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. I just want to, with thanks to the 70-plus residents who sent a petition into our office to initiate this this change to the street for no parking anytime, I'm moving the staff recommendations.
Councillor Morley moves the staff recommendations. All those in favor? Any opposed? That item carries. EY 25.21, Homeview Avenue, introduction of overnight on-street parking permit. Councillor Nunziata.
Move the staff recommendation.
Councillor Nunziata moves the staff recommendations. All those in favor? Any opposed? That carries. EY 25.22, Symons Street, introduction of overnight on-street permit parking. Councillor Morley.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. Again, with thanks to the local residents and my team for supporting a poll, a positive result was achieved here and we'll be supporting the staff recommendations.
Councillor Morley moves the staff recommendations. All those in favor? Any opposed? That item carries. EY 25.23, West Park Healthcare Center, 170 Emmett Avenue, formerly municipally known as 82 Buttonwood Avenue. Ground sign encroachment at the intersection of Eglinton Avenue West and Emmett Avenue. Councillor Nunziata.
Yes, I'll move the recommendation.
Councillor Nunziata moves the recommendations. All those in favor? Any opposed? That carries. EY 25.24, sorry, it doesn't have a number yet, but it will. Fee removal for lifting of hold applications. This is an item of new business. So I'll take a motion to add this as new business. Councillor Nanzetta moves. All those in favor? Any opposed? That carries. The next item is EY 25.25 Grovedale Avenue between Erie Street and Blue Springs Road, traffic calming. This requires a motion to add new business.
I'll add it.
Councillor Nunziata moves to add new business. All those in favor? Any opposed? That carries. And there's one more, which is 250 Wincott Drive and 46 Eglinton Avenue West Development. This is a letter from me, so I'd be happy to move a motion to add this as new business. All those in favor? Any opposed? That carries. And Madam Clerk, you'll circulate that when you're ready. Okay, so back up to the top of the list. It's a long list today, so I've already lost track. I think we were at 25.1, so I'll announce that. EY 25.1, 3807 to 3815 and 3819 to 3829. Lakeshore Boulevard West Official Plan and Zoning Bylaw Amendment Application, a decision report. I think, Councillor Morley, you held that.
Correct, Mr. Chair. Did we have speakers? Sorry, I don't.
There are no speakers on this item.
Great, thank you. I do just have some questions for staff on this one. Thank you, Daniel. I see Daniel's coming up to the podium. Good morning.
I'm sorry. You know what? Before we start, I wanted to make an announcement. We did the agenda run through, but thank you, Daniel. Just give us a second here. There is a special announcement today. One of the things we see at Community Council are changes, and, those are always times of mixed emotion. So this is an opportunity to say thank you to the outgoing Community Planning Director, Oren Tamir. You've been here for the past 4 months. You will be leaving us to return to a role as a Director of Community Planning, but I think you're going to be working on some special projects in the city. And I want to thank you personally for all of the work that you've done to look after the many interests of our city. And you have to come to Community Council and bring news and bring learned opinion about planning matters. They are things that we need to grapple with and work with the community on, but I can say that your efforts, of course, have reshaped things in a positive way in our city. There's a second thank you, of course, that is Karina Prior. And Karina came here with you, and Karina's not in here today. I wish she was. But she is one of the managers of community planning, and she will be moving on to a role, and actually will be continuing to work with you, Oren. So I think you're very lucky, because in the time that I've gotten to know Karina, amazing individual with a lot of talent, a lot of knowledge. I remember specifically going on a community walk with Karina, along with Deputy Mayor Morley in the 6 Points in Islington Village area, and what incredible knowledge and what great interest. And so these two great managers will be moving on to other roles because they were temporary here in Etobicoke. I want to just do a quick round of applause, and I'll also give some new introductions. Just in time, Karina. That was for you and for Oren. But with the departure of friends of this community council, we will at least welcome one new face and offer congratulations to another. So Alex Teixeira is our new Director of Community Planning. And that's effective September 2nd, 2025. But clearly there's a little bit of overlap here, which is great. And Alex, you bring 2 decades of experience in development, review, and policy planning. You started with Toronto in 2008 as a planner, and it sounds like you've done a lot of different roles, including being a manager of community planning in downtown. And you were also the acting director in the Toronto and East York North District, which has got to be a lot of work. So welcome to Etobicoke. I think you might see a little bit different volume here, but I certainly can promise that you will see a lot of complexity. And, I, on behalf of the Community Council, wish to welcome you to this role. And secondly, Vanessa Covello is somebody that has been with the Etobicoke York District for some time, has now been made the permanent manager of community planning in the Etobicoke York District in the South section, effective September 3rd, 2025. So you're taking over for Karina as she moves on, but I'm quite happy to welcome you back to this division in a permanent spot, and look forward to continuing to work with you. I'll invite any, and maybe a quick round of applause. I will invite any of my colleagues on Community Council if you'd like to make a quick comment, and before we begin today's business.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. I'll keep it brief, but just wanting to echo your thanks to our outgoing colleagues in Oren and Karina. It's been quite a pleasure and a privilege to work with both of you on some very difficult files in my ward. So I feel like it's been much longer than 4 months that we've got to hang out and build this great city together. And just a warm welcome. I've already had a number of meetings and some site visits and touch points with both Vanessa and Alex, and I look forward to our work together. So welcome. And again, thank you to Karina and Oren. Best of luck.
Thank you, Deputy Mayor. Councillor Nunziata, go ahead.
Well, thank you, and also the comments from my colleagues. But, you know, I don't understand why you're leaving. What I don't get is that people come into Etobicoke for a few months and they get to know the ward, especially my ward, Oren, as you know, wow, pretty challenging. And then you ask for a divorce and then you leave. Like, that's so frustrating, you know? But anyway, thank you for your contribution, Oren and Karina, and welcome, Alex. And looking forward on meeting with you on Friday and giving you an upview of my ward. So thank you for that. Yeah.
Thank you. All right, so we'll go back up to the top, and I'll give the name of the item again. I think we're about to start questions, but it's EY 25.1, 3807 to 3815 and 3819 to 3829 Lakeshore Boulevard West official plan and zoning bylaw amendment application to decision report. Deputy Mayor Morley, you had held the item for questions of staff.
Yes, thank you, Mr. Chair. And I will note I have advance circulated a motion on this item. Working with staff, it's fairly technical, but I'll start with my questions. Thank you. So the fourth recommendation in the approval report and in the amendment that I'm bringing forward directs the property owner to make efforts to convey off-site parkland to meet their parkland dedication requirements. You'll probably remember, Daniel, when we had this item before us previously, we heard a lot of concern and confusion from residents about this particular aspect. Can you clarify what it means when the city requests off-site parkland through a recommendation like this, and where in the geographic focus or is the geographic focus for that off-site parkland dedication?
Thank you for the question through the chair. I'll start off, and if my colleagues have more to provide. So within the geographic area, we would have sort of a 500-meter radius of where the off-site dedication could occur. For any further technical responses, maybe my director would like to add further to that.
Thank you. Deputy Mayor, in these cases, we are asking the applicant to work with us in good faith. Technically, there's on-site parkland dedication and planning act in cash and lieu. So this actually lives in the cash and lieu portion of the legislation. So instead of securing the cash, if we can find another opportunity where we can receive land instead of cash, we will continue to work with the applicant. And yes, expect that will be done in good faith.
Thank you, that's helpful. And my office will continue to focus on ensuring we get it as local to the site as possible. My second quick question is just around the last time this was before us, we had deferred the item with a request for the applicant to come back to community planning with an opportunity to make any additional revisions to their application. Just looking for confirmation, Daniel, did in fact the applicant connect with planning and attempt to make any changes from the last time they had this before us?
Through the chair, the item was deferred at June 4th, Community Council. The appeal was issued on June 12th. There wasn't any communication between that time with staff and the applicant.
Okay, those are all my questions. Thank you. You have my motion, Madam Clerk. I will speak to the item unless there's any questions.
Are there any other members wishing to ask questions? Seeing none, members wishing to speak, Deputy Mayor Morley.
Thank you. And if the clerk could display the motion so colleagues get a chance to review through. For folks' benefit, we did in fact defer this item last time around, and we did have a supportive report from staff that I have taken an opposite position with. We have since understand that this application was a appeal to the OLT. So I have submitted a motion with a new recommendation directing the city solicitor to attend the OLT in opposition to this appeal. For context, this is a 39-story proposal in a area where the heights do not exceed probably 16 stories, and it's largely single-family residential. So we've requested a little bit more thoughtful consideration for something that fits better into the community, and we haven't seen that come forward. When this was previously at Community Council, I moved a motion, as mentioned, to defer, requesting some additional work between the applicant and staff in response to the concerns that were highlighted in our last session. I was hoping for willingness from the applicant to engage further and improve their development application in the spirit of being a good neighbor to the community. As we heard, the applicant did go ahead with an appeal. So the development proposal has not changed, and so my position has not changed. I do not believe that this development fits in appropriately to the neighborhood in its current proposal, and we'll be looking to direct staff to attend the OLT in opposition, and looking to get a better outcome for the local community in Long Branch. So the motion, would you like me to read it, Mr. Chair, in details? Yeah, it's on the
Yeah,
screen.
we've got it on the screen.
Okay.
If you have any comments to help us understand it, would be great, but you don't have to read every word.
Yeah, it's really just looking to delete the original recommendations 1 through 4 from the original report, which was in fact an approval report, and provide a supplementary report. So the appeal report dated August 29th, and replace it with the recommendations within the motion there. And again, it really just provides direction to staff and our legal counsel to attend in support of my position and the community's position in opposition.
Thank you. Any other members wishing to speak? I'll speak very briefly. I want to make sure that I say that Councillor Morley has my full support on this motion, and I commend her for bringing it forward. This is part of the story, and I remember asking questions about this last time it was at Community Council, that there were some planning changes, and they said something to the effect of that buildings taller than mid-rise would be allowed near transit stations. And I think when a lot of people talked about that, the conversation headed to some built form that maybe was a little bit more dense. But this is now something that is way, way taller than that. This is a huge building that doesn't really relate to anything in the area. So I think that as council, we need to still put some parameters around these type of policies and help shape them, and send a signal that, you know, the lid has not been ripped off the density just because of a relationship with that particular policy. And also, we know there's a lot of work being done on what the future of Lakeshore Boulevard means. In fact, one of those update reports was on this community council. And there's some pretty strong controls on Lakeshore Boulevard right now. And those are being looked at as to whether or not they are still current and appropriate. But I don't think anybody has a vision of tall, high-rise towers along all of Lakeshore Boulevard. And so, again, I commend Deputy Mayor Morley for leadership on this, and I will be supporting her amendment. Thank you. So on Councillor Morley's motion, and this is a single vote to adopt that motion, all those in favor? Any opposed? That item carries. That item is complete. Okay, back to the item list. EY 25.3, 2335 St. Clair Avenue West zoning bylaw amendment application decision for approval. And we have a speaker. We have two speakers, actually. Our first speaker is Ann James from Bousfields. Welcome to the Etobicoke York Community Council, Ms. James. You have 5 minutes. Please begin when you're ready.
Good morning. Good morning, Chair and members of Community Council. My name is Ann James, and I'm a planner at Bousfields, and the agent representing the owner. We are pleased to be here today as we have worked very closely with city staff over a number of years, namely Ali Magani and Robert Ruggiero, to bring forward this proposal. The staff recommendation you see before you today is a product of careful review, many discussions, and meaningful changes in response to feedback received throughout the review process. We believe the resulting development greatly improves upon the existing site condition, providing for an 11-story purpose-built rental building. It is not only appropriate in land use policy terms, but also achieves many overarching city objectives, including providing new purpose-built housing in a modest-built form on an avenue. So in our opinion, the proposal is appropriate and should be approved, as it will be delivering a significant amount of large family-sized units, as well as improving the public realm along St. Clair Avenue through a road widening and also enhanced enhanced landscaping, including new street trees. As a result, we are pleased to be here today and support staff's recommendations for approval of the proposal. I'd also like to acknowledge the letter received from a community member who had concerns related to the condition of the site. We do have there is a provincial requirement for the owner to file a record of site condition to ensure environmental conditions are appropriate for residential uses. So this will address the concerns raised by that community member. And to end, we're happy to answer any questions. I also note that partner David Fletta is here in case he has any questions specifically for him. Thank you.
Thank you. Are there any questions of the speaker? See, Councillor Nunziata, please.
Yeah, so you know at the community meeting, there were concerns about the laneway, right? And that the applicant cleaned the laneway and also the property. So is the owner going to be committed to that, or have they cleaned the concerns that the residents had?
From my perspective, I believe there has been some remediation that's taken place since that community meeting has taken place. I think that will be an ongoing issue that will be continued to work on through the review process as we kind of get into construction.
Yeah, but because it's going to be an ongoing issue, so are you going to keep on top of that issue, or
Yes.
Rather than it pile up and then we get all these complaints?
Yes, of course. That's something that the applicant is very aware of and is taking work towards.
Okay, thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you. Are there any other questions? Seeing none, thank you for joining us. Our next speaker is David Fletta from Bousfields.
We're good.
Okay, great. Are there any other speakers on this item? Seeing none. Questions of staff?
Yeah, I have a question.
Councillor Nunziata?
Yeah. So, as you know, at the community meeting, the big issue was the laneway, right? So, in the report, there will be road widening, but also the laneway. So, the widening of the laneway, and I can't remember, does it encroach on any of because this is a city laneway, correct?
That is correct.
Yeah. On private property on the south side?
No, that is not encroaching on the south side. The road widening being asked on this side for this application is on the subject side.
Okay, so it won't have any impacts on the residents on the south side of the laneway?
No.
No. Okay, because I think that was the main concern that residents had, correct?
Correct at that time.
Yeah, yeah. Okay, thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you. Are there any other questions of staff? Seeing none, Councillor Nunziata to speak.
Yes, I'll move the recommendation. And as I mentioned, when we had the community meeting, the main concern was the laneway and the condition of the property now. So if anything, it would be a big improvement in that area. especially at St. Clair and Runnymede. There weren't other concerns other than that laneway, and residents were supportive of the application. And so I'll move the staff recommendation.
Councillor Nunziata is moving the staff recommendations. All those in favor? Any opposed? That item carries. EY 25.7, which is 76 Coral Gable Drive, residential demolition application. We do have one speaker registered, and that is Edith George. Welcome, Ms. George. You have 5 minutes. Please begin as soon as you're ready.
Thank you.
Can you just do a test in there? Just make sure we can.
Test.
There should be a button.
Thank you. Test.
Much better.
Okay.
Go ahead.
Chair and Councillor, read this item before you. My concern is item D on the city report, quote, that any holes, and that's a plural, on the property are backfilled with clean fill, end quote. There are 2 holes on this property. One is where the basement of 76 Coral Gable Drive is located. This will definitely be backfilled with clean fill. The red oak's roots have been trying for years to get into this basement of this house. I'm requesting that the assigned staff simply take out a few cement blocks in each of the walls of the cement basement so that when the backfill is completed, this plant can get some of its roots into the former basement. The other hole is located in the northwest corner of the property, and it's a catch basin with a cover. Now, I know it's a hole because I physically went there on my hands and knees and stomach with a flashlight and shot it down. It's a hole. I've given you a map where you see a creek. The orange square is the location of the catch basin. In blue, the creek is above ground, but the black line shows how the covered creek flows behind the houses on Coral Gable Drive. And this catch basin was put in to prevent flooding. If this is filled with soil, there'll be issues reflooding in this area and the surrounding properties. Examples. First example, there once was a cement below-ground swimming pool in a backyard in the vicinity of 76 Coral Gable Drive. And after a torrential rain, well, the pool became an above-ground pool. It is my understanding that the pool was eventually removed. Second example, July 2019. A house was demolished on Coral Gable Drive just east of 76 Coral Gable Drive, and when the new basement was put in, someone hit the creek. The new basement became a swimming pool. The owner had to put a sump pump in his new basement, re possible future flooding. Thank you for listening to me today. Any questions?
Thank you. Are there any questions of the speaker? Go ahead, Deputy Mayor Morley.
Thank you. Good morning, Edith. Thanks for
Hi,
joining
Amber.
us.
Yeah.
Nice to see you. I'm just curious about this. Obviously, the item before us is related to a residential demolition application in Councillor Peruzza's ward.
Yes.
But I do note that there is an image of a tree here on the map. You mentioned about the tree in your submission. Is this a designated heritage tree?
No tree has been designated heritage in the city of Toronto since amalgamation in 1999. I've been working on that for 20 years.
Ah, I just learned something new. Okay, so other than the typical tree bylaw, tree protection bylaws, there's no additional sort of protections on this tree, is that correct?
The only, I think, additional protection is that the city of Toronto now owns it.
Right.
It's under their purview.
Got it. And this is this the same tree that we visited together?
Absolutely,
The big,
Amber.
ginormous,
Yes. Yeah.
multi-century old tree?
Yes.
Awesome. Okay, thanks for the clarification.
Thank you. Any other questions of the speaker? Seeing none, thank you for joining us. Are there any other speakers on this item? Seeing none, questions of staff? No questions of staff? Members wishing to speak on the item? Councillor Peruzza.
Yeah, so I'd like to move that third recommendation number 3 with the add-on, with the addition. Okay.
Councillor Perruzza is moving recommendation number 3 with an amendment, which would be item E. All those in favor of Councillor Perruzza's motion? Any opposed? That item carries. Thank you. Our next item is EY 25.8, which is 14 Lippincott Street West, an application for fence exemption. We have a speaker, Trevor Comer. Is Trevor here?
Yes.
Welcome, Mr. Comer, to the Etobicoke York Community Council. You have 5 minutes.
Buttons on? All right. Thank you, councilors. My name is Trevor Coomer. I live at 14 Lippincott Street West. That is adjacent to the Humber River Valley. We do have our own fair share of wildlife. My intention for the bird spikes on my fence is not fortification or barbed wire or anything like that. It's pest control. My neighbor's garage was infested with raccoons, and we agreed to put up bird spikes to stop them climbing onto my roof, which they did do, ripped open an end gable vent, and lived in my attic, which then I had to pay to have them trapped. I'm not trying to put them in areas where people can access them. They're usually behind buildings, next to roofs, anywhere an animal can gain access to my roof. I do not want to see anybody get hurt, so they're nowhere near any accessible area. There's no way somebody can get to it. Bird spikes in their nature are meant to deter animals, not kill them. If a human was to climb over it, these are very thin spikes. They can bend over. They will not puncture a human being. I'd like to stop the damage to my property. I've had several barbecue covers shredded and covered with feces. Animals do climb over the fence and jump on top my vehicle, leaving scratches so they can get to the other side. I know there's nothing we can do about wildlife, but I do have several neighbors feeding animals, stray cats, squirrels, what have you, that do end up attracting other wildlife. I do have a black sparrowhawk visiting my backyard, eating the neighbor's birds that she feeds out her property. What has happened now is that that sparrowhawk has seen it as a food source and is now going after my small dog. I'm trying to stop any further damage from happening. I'm not trying to fortify my property like Fort Knox. Any questions?
Thank you. Are there questions?
Trevor, how
Go
long
ahead.
have, oh, sorry. So Trevor, how long have you had that fence up?
Ooh. Probably over 15 years.
Oh, that's been there for 15 years?
Yes.
Oh, okay. So obviously there was a complaint.
I had a neighbor's son complain that his pet cat got hurt without any proof of how it got hurt. He came to me at night, made some threats, and I guess made a complaint.
Okay. So 15 years that fence has been there.
Oh, yes.
Yeah?
I built it myself.
Okay, thank you.
I had a couple of questions. I'll pass the chair.
Councillor Holiday.
And sorry, I just want to be clear. The fence has been there for 15 years. How long have the spikes been there?
I'd say at least 2 years.
Okay. And so the cat, the neighbor's cat, does that cat roam around? Or like how did the pet cat end up on the fence?
There are several cats that are uncontrolled by the owner in the neighborhood. There are stray cats being fed by the neighbor across the street from me. At one point, there was over 12 cats. So,
Can you tell me a little bit about the yard? I mean, that's one thing that I can't get from the report is photos other than one of them. So I'm trying to piece all this together to visualize what you've got. I'm looking down because in front of me is an aerial photo, I think, of your property. It looks like there's a red truck on the driveway.
yes.
Some sort of a vehicle in the back. Looks like you either have a shared driveway or some sort of a garage in the backyard. And
Yes.
Can you tell me, what does the fence look like on the three sides of your backyard? Is it all the same?
It is all the same. I built all of them.
So what does the fence, just the wood fence look like?
Looks the same both sides. It's a flat wood fence with 1.25 inch deck boards,
Okay,
tongue and grooved into a base of a 2x6, then a 2x4, then pickets, and another 2x4 on top, on the edge. So it's a very thin fence.
sorry, it's pickets? Like,
Yes.
is there space in between the pickets?
Yes.
Okay, are the animals coming through that?
Only at the end ones where they're a little bit wider.
That was be my next question is why did the picture have a little bit of spikes there?
They were to stop animals from coming through the wider pickets
How many
and climbing the posts next to them.
How many circumstances do you have where you've got those wider pickets? Is it every section or?
No, just where I could reach.
Okay. And so you've otherwise got this around the entire perimeter of the yard?
No,
Okay, so.
it's only in specific areas next to buildings
Next to buildings?
or structures where they can climb.
If you could give me just a general guess of how many linear feet of this in aggregate?
If you take, I believe there's a lot plan there
Yep.
with it highlighted.
Oh, that I don't have. I'm sorry. I wish I had more detail. I got
Okay.
to ask these questions because the report's very, very basic on it.
Yes,
I'm
there
just
should have
trying
been
to
a
picture
lot plan with it. I can,
You may have submitted one. It may just not have made its way to me. And I can ask the staff about that, but that's okay.
so that is the lot plan in the buildings next to the fences. If you
So
would
it's
like
just
that.
where you've got yellow on that.
Basically.
Okay.
So that's where I'm most concerned about them climbing and getting access to either my garage or my house or the neighbor's garage or the back neighbor's gazebo, all within 20 centimeters of the fence, inches of the fence.
So I'm tilting my computer around. This is the photo I have in the report. So is that your fence there?
That's my fence. That's my neighbor's garage roof.
I see.
And my barbecue is directly underneath that.
Because this looks like it's elevated, so that's not from a deck or something. This
Nope, that is a low roof on his garage.
Okay.
So if somebody wanted,
What's below the picture? Is that sort of a deck board fence? Is that what that is?
that's my fence and my barbecue area.
Okay. I'm sorry thank you for your patience. It's just, I have to put all these pieces together. Okay.
It is a little bit complicated.
Okay. Thank you for answering my questions.
Thank you.
Any other questions? Seeing none. Questions of staff? Yeah, if I can just allow the staff member to come to the podium. Thank you. So thank you for the report. I just wanted to understand why we're here. I know that the fences typically don't allow things like barbed wire, razor wire, that kind of stuff you see. This is more like pest control, like it's an add-on. Something I don't even think you would buy from a fence supplier, you'd buy from a hardware store. Could you tell me how the bylaw lands on this?
Thank you very much. Through you, Chair. The bylaw specifically does state no barbed wire, chicken wire, or other barbed/sharp materials can be used in fence construction unless the fence is permitted under subsection B to exceed 2.5 meters in height. In this particular situation, the fence is located in the rear yard of the property. The maximum height would be 2 meters. Therefore, the sharp material would not be permitted, and hence the report before your council today.
So it's just general sharp material, anything sharp by the sounds of it, not just barbed wire, razor wire. It's
correct. There is a level of discretion when investigating these complaints with respect to sharp materials. Typically, the interpretation has been for pest control items such as bird spikes, which we have in this report before us today.
And when you were on site, would you ascertain this as being a typical construction all over the yard, or is it strategic in its locations to deal with a problem?
Based on my observations and conversation with the homeowner, is a strategic placement.
Okay.
It's not throughout the entire perimeter of the rear yard. It's there for a purpose of pest control. In speaking with the applicant, I understand there's been a history of damage done to the property as a result of wildlife and contributing factors outside of their control.
There's a photo in the report. I'll show it to you, but it's your report, so you know it. Can you tell me, if I'm standing in front of that, what that looks like? When I first read it, it looks like a handrail, right, on top of a deck. And I thought, oh goodness, I'm going to put my hand there, or I'm going to put my foot on the railing, and it's going to go through my foot. Is that correct, or is that somehow configured differently?
So the fence is of unique construction. The lower portion not pictured is board-on-board construction, and this is the upper portion of it with the pickets.
Okay.
So it is decorative in nature, but it is a full board-on-board fence below the photo.
So how high is that bottom rail and top, roughly, right? Is it eye level? Is it, it's way off the ground?
The photo was taken at eye level,
Okay.
so I would say it would be about chest height, but based on observations without taking any measurements, the fence is in compliance with height requirements.
So that's not typically a place where you're going to put your hand, lean against the fence, put your hand on it. This is up in the air.
Correct.
Okay. Thank you. That's very helpful. Councillor Morley has a question. Please.
Thank you, and apologies, I should have asked this to the homeowner, but I'm just wondering, based on, to pull the thread from Chair Holliday on the strategic location, in your conversations with the homeowner, is it your understanding that they're proven to be effective to deter the unwanted animal activity?
I would not be able to provide a recommendation on that. I don't have any firsthand knowledge of the effectiveness.
No worries, I'm getting a nod from the deputant, so thank you, I'll leave it there.
Thank you. I see no further questions. Members wishing to speak?
Yes, I'll speak. I do have a motion. Staff will put it on the screen. To grant a fence exemption permit to the property owner of 14 Lippincott Street West, and at such time as replacement of the fence is required, the installation comply with the municipal code chapter 447 fences or its successor by law. So we're moving to give approval for the exemption. Okay, Trevor? Okay, just so you understand. Okay, the fence has been there for 15 years, and when you, I know, they're, and especially in that area too, because we also have the cemetery where we get a lot of wildlife on Dennis and Lippincott. So there's a lot of wildlife and properties being damaged, roofs, fences, and so forth. So I will support to grant the exception.
Thank you. I'm going to make a couple comments. I'll be supporting Councillor Nunziata's exemption, but this is one of those cases where I'm glad we had a chance to have a community council and ask questions, because the initial look on the report, it looked like a railing, and I said, goodness, I'm sort of worried about what I saw here. But, you know, a couple really important things came up in that it's actually just the top of the fence and the decorative portion where these things are placed. And secondly, what I learned was that it wasn't all over the yard. It was in very specific places at buildings and places where animals might want to climb. And I think I would have approached it a little differently if I'd heard that it was all over the fence as a standard feature, because then that starts to speak to people barriers and things put in place to avoid climbing. And I don't think we should go down that path. I don't typically support barbed wire and things like that on fences. I don't think we want that in our city. There needs to be really clear reasons for that sort of stuff. Here it's more along the line of pest control. And it's an interesting clash of the fence bylaw and somebody that would also face bylaw issues if pests weren't dealt with on the property. I'm not going to amend Councillor Nunziata's motion. I don't think that's necessary, but what I would say to the homeowner, there is something in here I don't really like, and I would suggest something to change, is the lower portions where the spikes are in the corners. I don't think they personally look attractive, and I would, if I was the neighbor, I would have rather probably have seen a little strip of wood to make it narrower. I just think it would look nicer. And perhaps the resident will consider that. And the only other reason I would say is if you were casually having someone in your backyard and they decided to put their hand up there to brace themselves on the fence, the lower set of spikes looks like it's a little closer in reach. I can't tell exactly from the picture, but I just think anything lower to the ground is more likely to injure someone. And I would encourage to rethink those little pieces on the bottom. It's just a matter of improvement, but I don't think that needs to go into the motion. It's something that the homeowner can consider. Thank you. Anyone else wishing to speak? Seeing none, on Councillor Nunziata's amendment, all those in favor, any opposed, that item carries. Okay, back to our item list. The next item is EY 25.9, which is 2 Fairweather Road, an application for fence exemption. We do have a speaker, and that is Jenny Leon. Welcome to the Etobicoke York Community Council. You've got 5 minutes. Please begin when you're ready.
Good morning. My name is Jenny, and I live at 2 Fairweather Road in North York, Ward 5. And I'm here today to respectfully request an exemption for my fence. My fence consists in 2 things. The rear fence in my backyard, I want to rebuild it at a height of 8 feet. And the second part is a side of my fence. It's made of corrugated material. So as you can see, I have attached pictures that I got from Google from 2007. And I think when I spoke to my neighbors, that fence at height of 8 and the other side fence was there from before 2007, according to the neighborhood. And I removed my rear fence because it was rotten and it was unsafe. But now that I want to rebuild it, I didn't know that the law says up to 6.5 feet height. And I want to apply for an exemption because if I do it for a 6.5 feet, since my ground level is 2.5 feet below the surrounding ground level, the 6.5 feet only gives me like 4 feet privacy in my backyard. And this is the reason why I'm requesting an exemption. And also the side of the fence, I didn't know what corrugated material was. I think you can see on the picture it has some stripes, white and blue, so I repainted and I made it to look nicer. But the side fence is very sturdy, it's very strong. So I would like to request it to keep it as is for now, because I don't have the money to remove the corrugated fence and rebuild it. That would be all.
Thank you. Are there any questions of the speaker?
So Jenny, you just gave us these pictures, so I'm looking in the staff report, and it's got all these poles in it, but I'm just, so, that's in the report. So the picture here at this one, so the fence has already been erected?
No.
Okay, so
That's
what is
something.
this picture?
Yeah, that picture is something that I want to do in my backyard. I still
So
want
this is just suggestions, not that you've done.
Yes, that's something that I want to do in my backyard, the height of 8, because right now if I do it at 6.5, I will have a privacy of only 4 feet.
Okay, so these pictures that you've shown us are just showing what
That-
it would look
that's-
like once you do the fence.
No, that's the one that I already painted because before it was blue and white. So I
Okay.
painted the corrugated, that's the part that is corrugated material.
Because yeah. Yeah, so, yeah, I think, Counselor Emmett, you're correct, is this sections? Yeah, because what you see in the report is just these posts. Yeah, which is strange, right? Like, it's hard to determine what's in the staff report and what you're showing us.
Yeah, that's why I repainted because when I send it, it looks different. So that's why I
It looks
have a hard
completely
copy.
different in
Yeah.
here. Okay, thank you, those are my questions.
Jenny, there's a picture in the report that I rely on, and that, I think that's your neighbor's house.
Yes.
Looking towards your house in the back.
Mhm.
Have you talked to this neighbor? Are they okay with this?
I talked to my neighbor at the beginning and he was okay with it because previously it was at the same height.
Yes.
But then he told me you have to talk to the city because apparently you're supposed to do 6.5.
Yep.
So then I said, you know what, it's better for me to come here
Sure.
and show you and to come to a reasonable.
Do you know how
Conclusion.
tall is the fence when it's, what are your plan for the fence? When you're standing on your neighbor's lawn, how tall is that fence going to be for your neighbor to look at?
I think it will be around 6 to 6.5.
6 to 6.5 feet? And,
Yeah.
and there was one there before.
Yes, that's why I gave you
And
the pictures.
Is that approximately 6.5 feet?
Exactly
from
the
neighbor's
same.
side? So
I
you're-
think,
You're putting back what was there before?
yes,
Okay. Thank you.
you're welcome.
Any other questions of the speaker? Seeing none, thanks for joining us.
You're welcome.
I will ask if there are any other speakers on this item. Sir, did you want to speak to the community council?
Yes, I do.
Okay.
I'm the neighbor, actually.
So we'll ask you to register, but come on up, and if you can give us your name, we just need to register you after you're done so that we've got a record, okay?
Okay.
Welcome, you've got 5 minutes.
My name is Carlos Santos. I live on number 8 Fairweather Road. And initially, when my neighbors started to build the fence, I noticed that they were planning to go like very high. So I did some research and I looked up at the maximum heights that were allowed. Initially, apparently she had bought the material to build a 10 feet high fence. And like I didn't agree with that. I informed her that I wouldn't mind for her to go about 5 feet above my grade, which would be probably around 7.5 feet from her side, because there is a 2.5 feet step from my grade to her grade. Like even if she builds it to the maximum height, 6.5 feet from her grade, it will be about 6 inches above, well, actually higher than the fence that she has along the street, which is 6 feet high. I opposed to go more than 5 feet above my grade. Will be 7.5 feet from her grade. Because in the back, her fence becomes an extension of my fence. And my fence is 6 feet high. My lot slopes towards the back, and where her lot ends, my lot is already below her grade. And if she's going to go 8 feet high or 8.5 feet high, it will be, it will be difficult to make it work within the building standards.
Other questions of the speaker?
I'm sorry.
Go ahead.
So what the applicant recommended, from what I understood, was 6.5 feet. You support that?
So 6.5 feet, yes, definitely.
But that's what her proposal is.
Well, she wants to go 8 feet, I believe, 8.5.
That's
But
what I
because it's the front of my house, her backyard, she has a side yard, doesn't have a backyard, because it's a corner house, and her lot backs into the front of my house, on the side of my house. So by the code, from the corner of my house towards the street, the fence cannot be more than 4 feet by the code. But she wants to go much higher than that, even though she is 2.5 feet below my grade. My concern is the obstruction that's going to cause in front of my house, because my house is a bungalow. And like the front of the house literally is going to get, half of the height is going to get covered with a fence or hidden with a fence.
Yeah, I believe because there's a slope there, and that's why you see the difference.
Yes.
Yeah, because it's a corner house.
Yeah.
So I don't know if you can do it any different than that. Okay, thank you.
No problem.
I had a couple of questions.
Mr. Chair, I got a quick question.
Go ahead, Councillor Perruzza.
So my question is this, because I'm trying to understand this. If you, sir, were to build a fence according to the bylaw on your side, because you're 2 feet higher, you could go 6 feet. Excuse me for a second. You could go 6'6". How much would that be on her side? You'd be well within the bylaw. And how tall would that be on her side? That would be like 8'6" or almost 9 feet on her side.
It would be 9 feet.
So it would be 9 feet. Perfect.
Around
So
8.5 to 9 feet.
No, just hear me for a second. So you could build a fence on your side that would be 9 feet tall to her, but she can't go 8 feet on her side. That would be 5'6" to you. You see the congruency in that?
Let's go to the code. Like
No.
from the corner of my house,
we're talking about fairness here. We're talking about fairness. We're not talking about and code. You could go 6'6", which would be 9 feet to her.
From the corner of my house towards the street, by the code, I cannot go more than 4 feet high.
I think you've answered. Listen, you answered my question. Thank you so much. Okay, I don't want to delay.
Thank you.
So if I go 4 feet high, it will be 6.5 feet high from her side.
So thank you, Councillor Perruzza. I had a couple of questions for you, sir.
Councillor Holiday.
Thank you. So the applicant submitted Google Street View. I can see the same thing here. And I see a fence there going back to 2007 that must be higher than the code allows, because it looks like it's about 6 feet or so on your side.
Yes, that fence was stepped like in an ugly way. And I never argue over that, because the fence was already there, and I didn't want to create problems with a neighbor. The fence was in bad shape, and I didn't want to create problems, because at some point the fence was going to be built anew. So, and the house was sold, and that's what she's trying to do now. Even though that fence along the street, it's illegal, but it's a good-looking fence, and I don't argue over that.
Sure. And how long have you been here in that house?
17 years. Oh, well, no, not 17 years. I've been there since 2006.
Okay, and so that fence might have even been there since before you arrived.
Yes, I was there before I arrived.
Yeah, because all I can see is 2007. So that fence existed. If your neighbor wants to build a fence that's close to what this is, why is there a problem?
Because it's a high fence. It obstructs I just built my house.
Yeah.
Well, I built it in 2009, and I raised the house up. It was a renovation, and I raised the floor up because it was too low. Because of the way it was. And if you look at, well, I don't know if you have access to it from the pictures there, but if you look at other houses around or in the neighborhood that we can see from, like in the same area, just across the street from her, the fences are only 4 feet high from the corner of the house towards the street. I understand that for her, privacy is important, but the fence is going to be much higher than the fence along the street. So there is no privacy regardless. Like if you were concerned about privacy, you're not going to buy a house in the lowest side of the street and in the corner, a corner house, because the privacy is somewhat limited.
I see from this work that it looks like a concrete retaining wall was built. When was that done and who did it?
That was built probably 2008.
By the previous owners or by you?
It was by me.
By you. So the retaining wall's on your side.
Yes.
And what was there before the retaining wall?
It was a block wall falling apart.
Block wall?
Yeah.
Okay. Thank you.
No
Are
problem.
there any other questions? Questions of staff? Are there members wishing to ask questions? No? I'm going to ask, I think, one. From what you know of the plans to build the new fence, how close is it to the old fence that was there?
Through the chair, through you, I understand that this is a direct replacement of the fence that was rotted and eventually came down, and this would be a direct replacement of that fence in terms of height.
The resident did say that there was some variation in height, but from what I could tell from street view, it was a few inches from panel to panel.
That could very well be the case. We weren't aware of the complaint, or sorry, there was no complaint. This is a proactive fence exemption. We are not aware of
There's
what
no
happened.
complaint.
No, this is a proactive fence exemption that was submitted by the property owner.
Thank you very much. Any other questions? Members wishing to speak?
Yeah, staff will put up a motion. I'm going to grant the fence exemption. This is a replacement of a fence that was there previously. And because it's a corner house, it's very difficult, and because of the deep slope. And the fence that was there previously had to be replaced because it was in bad condition. More than likely, you were told to remove it and build a new fence, right? And what you're doing exactly what was there previously. So that's why I'm granting the exemption.
Any other members wishing to speak? All those in favor? Any opposed? That item carries. Thank you. Our next item is EY 25.10, which are secondary uses in the Islington Avenue to Royal York Hydro Corridor, Hydro 1 corridor. There is a speaker registered for this. And I will ask if Adam Rogers is available.
I am. Can you hear me?
Yes, welcome, Adam. You've got 5 minutes to speak to Community Council. Please proceed as soon as you're ready.
Sure. Go keep it short. This is a great use for that hydro corridor between Royal York and Islington, and I do hope it can go forward. And the only reason I'm speaking in is that I wanted to add, I appreciate it's in Ward 2 and not Ward 3, but I did want to add another hydro corridor for future considerations. There's a hydro corridor between Montgomery Avenue and Royal York. It's right there at the border of Ward 2 and Ward 3, and it is it is well used by the community and already has pretty much a desire path for dog walkers and people of that nature. And it's been that case since I was born. So it's, let's say, not trying to tell my age, but let's say 30 years. It's been used in that way. And even when they redid the hydro towers in that corridor, this is right parallel to the train tracks, they still left a fence that can be opened, and the other side has an opening as well. I think it is a good case for perhaps, I don't know if it's Hydro Toronto or Hydro Ontario who owns that corridor, but whoever it is, it's a very good case for a actual official path to go through. So it can be used for dog walkers, people who walk in the area, and cyclists. And it's a great connection for students as well, as the students who need to get to ECI from Lambton Kingsway can just use that hydro corridor directly. There's be no traffic from cars. It'd be a good, safe way for cyclists and walkers, especially students. Pretty much, I just wanted to highlight that one as well for future considerations, if it can be added. But yes, the project in question is great. Thank you. If there's I'll stay on for a second if there's any questions. Otherwise, I'll mute myself.
Thanks. I did want to ask a couple of questions. Thanks, Adam. Very constructive suggestion, but I want to be crystal clear on the section that you're talking about. So I'm looking at an aerial map.
Yep.
You're describing it to me. Could you just go back over where that corridor is?
So I will describe it as clear as I can. So
yep.
On the east side, there is Memorial Pool. And on the west side, it's where government hits, pretty much where government hits Royal York. There's the Dundas Bridge that sort of, one of the off ramps goes over top the entrance to this corridor. And
Yes.
it's literally directly south of the rail lines, connects between Montgomery Road and Royal York. And it is, it's basically been used for the community. A lot of dog walkers use it for a long time. And I hope that helps. If you need a little bit more pinpointing, let me know.
No, very helpful. Thank you.
No problem.
Thank you for any other questions of the speaker. Thank you for joining us today. Any other speakers in this item? Seeing none. Any questions of staff on the item? Seeing none. Members up. Go ahead, Deputy Mayor Morley.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. I'm getting distracted here myself. Good morning still. Yeah, good to see you. Thanks for joining us. And thank you, Mr. Chair, for clarifying the section in question. There is lots of great work happening in Etobicoke overall, including some sections of Etobicoke Center. But we are discussing this item very squarely in Ward 3 at Etobicoke Lakeshore. So the preliminary concepts plan has been submitted to Hydro One. What is the estimated time that we anticipate for Hydro One to complete their review and provide us with an answer about this proposal?
Thank you for the question, and through the chair, we actually did just receive some feedback about this preliminary concept, and they've generally agreed in principle with the idea of the uses that we've put forward.
Great.
So next steps include submission of an appropriate capital budget request to advance the detailed design and then submit a formal application.
Fantastic. Wonderful. My other two questions are redundant since it sounds like there's some agreement in principle, which is exciting news. We're hoping to see some outdoor recreation amenities in the space to serve the local community, including off-leash areas, gardens mentioned in the report. Do you believe it will be possible to secure agreements with Hydro One for these? And do you foresee any challenges with community garden or off-leash uses?
So, the institution of secondary uses is complex in hydro corridors. There are a lot of technical standards that need to be accommodated for. We do know that Hydro One has some plans to replace some of the towers, so we'll need to consider the timing of that and when we actually initiate construction. And it's likely that there'll be some modifications to the proposed plans in terms of size and finishings to accommodate the standards.
Fantastic, thank you. Once approved, presuming we're going to get there, what are the next steps to advance the project and how will the community be engaged in the process?
So as we move forward with detailed design and before submitting the formal application, we would engage with the community and consult around the parameters that we have to work within in terms of the different types of uses and maybe the appropriate locations. So we do intend to do that as soon as we have enough detailed information to talk about that.
Great. And we had previously identified some historic Section 37 money in the corridor that could be allocated towards realizing this project. From your understanding, do you believe that the fund available for this project will be adequate?
Based on preliminary conversations with our capital staff and operating staff, we do believe that the capital funding that could be provided through Section 37 will address the scope of the work as we've sort of proposed it at this stage.
Fantastic. Thank you for the great work. Those are all my questions.
You're welcome.
Thank you. Another question to staff. Please go ahead, Councillor Nunziata.
Just on Hydro One. So have you requested Hydro One to participate in the cost?
Thanks for the question. Through the chair, no. The relationship that the city has with Hydro One is based on a master lease agreement. And so there's different costs associated with the management of parcels that we may take responsibility of. And so there's changes to the property taxes and operating dollars, but we don't request Hydro One at this time contribute to the capital costs of those changes within the corridor.
Okay, the reason I ask, I have a hydro corridor in my ward, okay? It runs from Rockcliffe and then from Jane to Scarta Road. And there's a community garden under there, and Hydro One just did a pathway in the corridor, a nice pathway for walkers, dog walkers, and they paid for the whole cost. So that's why I asked the question, because they, mind you, they were doing some work in that area, but at the same time, they contributed, not the city. They're the ones that brought forward the plan and paid for it. They just completed it just in the last couple of months.
I'm not familiar specifically with that parcel, but we certainly can go and request more information about that particular case. I know that each parcel is sort of treated differently depending on the circumstances of the use, but we'd have to go back and get some more information about that one.
This is from Jane to Scarlet Road.
Okay.
Just south of Foxwell. Yeah.
We can look into that.
They did that. Okay, thanks.
May I ask a question as well?
Certainly.
I may. Councillor Nunziata.
Councillor Holiday.
I just wanted to go back through the sort of the capital requirements of this. I am of the belief that in 2025, in a city like ours, we can't ignore hydro corridors. The land is just too important. And so there's lots of ideas out there, but from a basic view, if the city is then going to take over care of somebody else's land, what's the process to bring that into consideration of all of the needs and pressures that we have in the city? Because it costs money to do all of that.
Thank you for the question through the chair. There's a couple pieces that I'll flag for council's awareness. Through the parkland strategy refresh, there is consideration around how we utilize hydro corridors to expand the network of open space and complement the park network. And I suspect there'll be some thinking around how we prioritize those spaces and what the appropriate uses are there and how we appropriately budget. In terms of the existing master lease agreement, again, I would say that each parcel has been treated differently historically, and what we've seen over time is that the standards have changed based on what hydro requires. We are secondary uses to the operations and the utilities, so that's always taken into consideration. And the consultation around each parcel and the costs related to that would be informed by existing facility needs within the area, existing parkland needs or deficiencies in parkland, and what the appropriate uses might be. We'd be consulting, of course, with our operations staff and our capital staff around what those costs would be, and negotiate the agreement with Hydro accordingly.
Okay, and if I had an idea and found a parcel and it really ticked the boxes as being ready and appropriate in all the things that you covered, what's the ramp-up time to get this into, say, the city's budget? I think that's where it really has to go. It needs to be approved so that it can then fall under the umbrella of parks and that you'd have enough money to actually operate it. What's a reasonable time frame?
Well, I can use this case as an example. It's been about 12 months, I think, or a little bit less since council's motion, and we engaged in conversations with Hydro and our colleagues in different branches around the feasibility of the concept in this particular location, and engaged in a series of meetings, all preliminary, because we wanted to ensure that we weren't proceeding with something that was ultimately not going to be approved. But the following step is engaging a consultant to do the detailed design and submit a formal application. There'd also be site investigations, environmental and archaeological in this case, and all of that work needs to be done before we submit the application to Hydro for their final approval. And that can take, we've heard upwards of 20 months, but we're confident that because we engaged early and we've sort of thought it through to a certain extent before initiating the formal application, that we can cut that down.
Thank you. Any other questions? Seeing none? Members wishing to speak? Deputy Mayor Morley, go ahead.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. And again, thank you to staff for this great work. It was mentioned that it's been about 12 months since we made a motion on this, but I will confirm it was about 12 months prior to that we began conversation with our colleagues in planning as well as our colleagues in parks. So it has been quite some time coming. And it's no secret to this chamber and folks listening in that there are significant density and growth pressures nearby and along the Queensway that the city needs to stay ahead of as it relates to open green spaces and public infrastructure. I've been working on a few initiatives to try to do just that, and this is one of them. It's focused on increasing available parks and amenities for current and future residents, making sure people have spaces where they can enjoy the outdoors and be healthy. We've got tens of thousands of units, proposed units along the Queensway, and very limited space where we can secure additional and important amenities like this. I do really hope that parks will continue their good work with Hydro One to get us to a positive outcome here and ultimately activate this space beyond just trail connectivity. We would love to see an off-leash area here. We know it will be well used by existing residents and future residents. They've been asking for it. We've been working hard, and we've been really limited in what we've been able to accomplish to date in the area. So I think a community garden would also make a lot of sense, and some other great suggestions from the community during consultation phases will no doubt come forward. I'm really happy with the progress to date. I believe it is a promising project and a really important corridor for us to activate. I look forward to continuing to see the progress. And I will just note, a number of months ago, one of the schools that is abutting this area is the Karen Kane School. And there was an amazing, I don't know if it's called a diorama, that the youth put together over this visioning project of how they could activate this corridor. They had all kinds of cool stuff on this sort of massive, not life-size, but this massive sort of 3D model that they created. And it was really exciting for me to share with them that we were already doing this work to move forward on how we can activate and animate this corridor better. There are a number of schools that abut it, and of course, an existing community. The Tibetan Canadian Cultural Center is on the west side. So I think this is going to be a really beautiful linkage as we move forward and this community continues to grow. I'm really excited about our progress. So thank you. And with that, Mr. Chair, I will just be moving to, I believe, receive this report or staff recommendations.
Yes.
Thank you.
Thank you. I'm going to make a brief comment. I thank staff for this report and support Deputy Mayor Morley's efforts to activate this corridor. If you travel over the border to Mississauga, just on the other side of the Etobicoke Creek, you will see examples of hydro corridors that have trails along them that have been activated, the grass is cut. You know, they're doing it right. We're actually behind in the city of Toronto, and these are amazing spaces because they're ribbons that run through an urban built-up area. They're linear in nature. They actually form a network, and they can connect things together. And you know, we talk a lot about cycling and so on in the city. It is very controversial, but where it's not controversial are a lot of people that say, hey, you know, there could be really good multi-use trails that go through these spaces. The added bonus with these corridors is that they cross a number of streets. Sometimes they cross a busy street, but a lot of times they cross really quiet streets. And if you're on a bike, it's no big deal to make a crossing there. But that also means there's access to these spaces. So if you want to do something like a community garden, or like a vegetable type growing garden, that's the kind of thing you can pull your car up, get into the space, use. That's a little further down the line because there is work to be coordinated with the landowner, which is hydro. It's not the city's land. But I also don't want to forget that there's also a fair amount of work that needs to be done to plan to take on these spaces, because we often talk about our park system. You know, I'd like a baseball diamond here, or that soccer field fixed, or some lights over there. And you know, councillors are familiar, and members of the public that have gone through this are familiar how hard it is to get something into the queue to be built. So this is no different. Even though it's just plain land, it does take a lot to get it into the city's portfolio. The last thing I'll mention is thank you to Adam Rogers for taking the time to get on a call. I will note there's a little bit of nuance in what he said. The tracks that the hydro corridor follows, which is north of the one that's today's subject report, it's closer to Dundas, are the borderline between Ward 3 and Ward 2. And Councillor Morley and I have plenty of experience on working together on projects such as this, and I look forward to doing that and let you know, Councillor, I'm completely open to working on this particular corridor. We've been working on the Greenway together, which is a really exciting transformational project. But it's the section that Mr. Rogers pointed out is predominantly on the Ward 3 side, but there's Ward 2 components to it on the north side of Dundas, and it runs in and along the rail tracks. So, you know, there's lots of things to think about the rail corridor and what goes on there and what that's like, but activating that space could be really positive and, you know, another project to work on. So I don't know that it could be just tacked on to this one. I think it in itself is its own undertaking. But, you know, I look forward to what the future holds on that, because I agree, people are using it already and it's exciting. So thank you to everybody that's worked on this. I think this is a good template forward to continue to work on these types of projects. And I'll be, of course, supporting the Deputy Mayor's motion. With that, anyone else? Councillor Nunziata?
Yeah, I just have to comment because what we're doing today on this report, when we were the City of York, I guess we were ahead of everyone else, because that's what we did with our hydro corridors. But the hydro corridor in my ward, from Rockcliffe all the way to Scarlet Road. So we have Woolner Park, we have basketball courts and everything in the hydro corridor. And then just west of Jane Street, we have the trail, we have the community garden that was there since we were the City of York. That all started. So we've been doing that. So this is nothing new. So I guess the City of York, we were small, but we were mighty, because we did a lot of things that other municipalities didn't even know.
Who was the mayor?
I was the mayor, yes.
Thank you. On the item, all those in favor? Any opposed? That carries. EY 25.13 is proposed crosswalk marking policy and all-way stop control. Sorry, my screen just jumped here. An all-way stop sign control justification policy.
It's quite a mouthful.
Staff have a presentation. Please go ahead.
How do I plug?
Once we get it set up.
Not done that before. Here. Ah. I always hate touching other people's cords. Okay. Good morning. Risa, all set? Good morning. I'm here today to present two new and updated policies for the City of Toronto for consultation with Community Council. What we have done thus far is back at the June meeting of City Council and IEC, Transportation Services had presented 4 policies for City Council endorsement. 2 of those policies were adopted by City Council, being updates to our justifications for traffic control signals, as well as new justifications for pedestrian crossing protection devices, being PXOs and pedestrian signals. However, we were directed by IEC to bring the crosswalk marking policy and the always stop sign control justification policy to Community Council for consultation, and we'll be reporting back to IEC and Council in the 4th quarter of this year on these proposed policies, the results of this consultation, and any updates to the policies as a result of the consultation with the 4 community councils. Excuse me, jumping right in to the crosswalk marking policy. The general purpose of the crosswalk policy is to compile a singular document that outlines the City of Toronto's policies in regards to the installation of crosswalk markings, which includes codifying both existing policies as well as some updated practices. What we've generally incorporated, which is existing practice, is that we install crosswalk markings at all new locations where crosswalks are installed, whenever there is a stop or yield sign, a pedestrian crossover, a traffic signal, or a school crossing guard in the absence of another form of traffic control. We typically mark crosswalks across all legs of an intersection if it's controlled by an always stop or a traffic signal. And while it's preferred that crossings are marked at all controlled locations, it can be acceptable to leave a crosswalk across a low-speed, low-volume roadway unmarked. Those are generally neighborhood locations where we assess on a case-by-case basis whether or not markings should be installed. But we never install crosswalk markings at locations that do not have a form of traffic control. We are proposing to, in addition to those existing practices, incorporate the latest updated council-adopted zebra crosswalk marking policy into the overall crosswalk marking policy. Zebra crosswalks are currently installed at all signalized locations, pedestrian crossovers, any stop-controlled intersections within what we've established as pedestrian safety corridors, which were in the Vision Zero Road Safety Plan in 2019, school safety zones, which are ongoing implementation, as well as already established senior safety zones. In 2023, in November, we did add this 4th bullet, which is that supervised school crossing locations would also be marked with zebra crosswalks. So those are locations, we have about 20 of them in the city, where there is a school crossing guard during school hours, but no other form of control at other times. So those now get zebra markings as well as other locations generally where we have identified a safety concern at the discretion of the general manager of transportation services. All locations that do not get zebra markings just get the standard 2 white transverse lines that delineate the sides of the pedestrian crossing area. Some things that we are incorporating into this policy based on updated transportation services practices is looking specifically at locations where there are not sidewalks. This is something that's especially important in our more suburban wards, where we've seen locations that have existing or new always stop control installed, especially in locations near schools or community centers, as shown in this example in Deputy Mayor Morley's ward across Montgomery at Belvedere Boulevard. where sidewalks are not present on the side street. And there are often challenges in the more suburban wards with constructing sidewalks where it may take a number of years or we may not even see those sidewalks within our lifetimes. And crosswalks are, as we know, a really important pedestrian safety device that both delineate the path of travel for people crossing so they know where it is safe and they're directed to cross. But crosswalks also provide additional visual cues for vehicle operators, drivers, and cyclists to look out for people crossing at those locations. So we are revising our practice such that we can mark crosswalks on streets without sidewalks where appropriate. This application will be on a case-by-case basis and vary depending on the nature of the intersection, but our focus for this type of installation will be primarily in locations where we have school crosswalks especially, or other locations with higher volumes of pedestrians, again, at existing or new stop-controlled intersections. We also, in a similar vein, have looked at our application of crosswalks in locations where we are putting either new or existing always stop control or stop control as well, where it is Transportation Services' current policy based on the AODA that we do not install the crosswalk markings until we're able to put in the crosswalk ramp. This has led to some issues where we put in new stop signs, but as we know, sometimes the concrete construction required for ramps and twizzies can take a year or two to install. So we're delaying the installation of crosswalks as an important safety device because of an accessibility concern. So it's still our preference to install stop signs, the crosswalk lines, and the ramps all at the same time, but that in the event that there will be a delay for that ramp construction, we're able to now, or we're recommending now that we would install the crosswalk lines at the time of the stop sign installation, and then come back and add the ramps at the first available opportunity. And in addition to this, while it's preferred on the streets without sidewalks, as I highlighted on the previous slide, for us to also put at least ramps on the corners of those locations so that pedestrians who are crossing have a safe landing area to wait potentially before crossing the street, even though they have the right of way. We would not similarly require sidewalk ramps to be installed before installing the crosswalk lines at those locations either. This location in the photo here is actually in Ward 4. It's Macdonnell at Rideau Avenue, where we recently, through a cycling project, installed a marked crosswalk in advance of the ramp construction, which is scheduled for next year. So you can see there is a ramp on one side, but on the other side, it does mean that there is a little bit of an accessibility concern, but it's something that now the visibility of this intersection is greatly improved, and pedestrians now have more guidance and better safe crossing at this location. Last, what we are also codifying in this policy is a practice that was updated in 2021 to install crosswalks at low volume driveway locations, utilizing a portion of the driveway for the missing crosswalk ramp. So what happens in a lot of locations in residential neighborhoods, especially at T intersections, is that often there's a driveway that is in the way of where we would want to put the landing pad for the crosswalk. And while we generally try to place crosswalks so that they don't land at driveways, in a lot of instances, this would result in actually diverting pedestrians significantly outside of their path of travel and lead to people crossing outside of the marked crosswalk. So in those instances, we would design, as is shown in this example here at Heathdale and Raglan Avenue, where a portion of the driveway is redesigned to provide the crosswalk ramp and the twizzies. In these instances, drivers are able to retain full access to, or owners or occupants are able to retain full access to the driveway by just driving over the ramp. And the sidewalk, ramp, and crosswalk we maintain with the City of Toronto snow clearing as well. So it's just up to the resident to maintain their driveway and the portion of the remaining portion of the driveway that is not the sidewalk ramp. But these allow us to use low volume driveways where there's not many conflicts between motorists and pedestrians to provide a marked and accessible crosswalk in those locations. Regarding the all-way stop sign control justification policy, the current policy that we have was adopted by City Council in March 2001 during amalgamation, and outlines 4 considerations for installation of all-way stop control. Those are based on primarily collision experience or traffic volume. There's also 2 additional considerations where stop signs or all-way stop can be installed as an interim measure where a traffic signal is justified but cannot be installed right away. Often we don't use this justification because it takes sometimes just as long to install a stop sign as a traffic signal. But we have that ability within the policy, as well as to use all-way stop as a transition where if we have, say, a 4-way intersection and it's a 2-way stop control for, say, north-south, and we want to switch it so that it's east-west that stops, there is a process for that to be all-way stop and then revert to the other 2-way. That also doesn't happen often. If we're going to put in an all-way stop, it typically stays an all-way stop, but that's also in the policy as well. And then the policy was last updated in June of 2019, where we amended it to apply a factor of 2 to all pedestrians as part of the volume consideration. We're proposing just 2 very minor updates to the all-way stop sign justification policy. The first is just trying to update the policy to be consistent with the latest version of the Ontario Traffic Manual Book 5 on regulatory signs, which adds an additional consideration based on inadequate sight distance. This is something that we're generally already doing because, again, it is in OTM, but is not similarly reflected in our city policy. So we just want to make sure those are consistent. And then also in the vein of consistency, the other policies that we've updated have the justification in the title. So we're updating the title of this policy to be the all-way stop sign control justification policy. It's a mouthful, but just for consistency's sake. And with that, I'm happy to take any questions. Thank you.
Questions of staff? Councillor Nunziata.
So the recommendation that we have before us just to receive this report, but some of the, part of your presentation as far as installations of crosswalks and locations without sidewalks. So is that policy, is it implemented now?
Not yet.
Or because we're just moving receipt of this report. So where there are some areas, like you didn't put any areas in my ward, I don't know why, but.
Yeah, the location I had was specifically one that we'd been working on with Deputy Mayor Morley for the no sidewalks. And in reviewing locations like that, we have updated our transportation services policy internal as of this summer to start looking at those locations on a case-by-case basis. What we're seeking in getting council endorsement of the crosswalk marking policy, currently the only thing that's endorsed by council regarding crosswalks is specifically just the installation of zebras. So what we're hoping to do through getting council endorsement of the rest of the policy is to give transportation services additional backing and support from city council, as in numerous locations, especially things like the driveway crosswalks, or now with the crosswalks where there are no sidewalks, we do get concerns raised from residents, and it's helpful for us if we're able to obviously point to a council-approved policy and get city council to endorse these recommendations. So we're starting to implement that, but on a very slow sort of case-by-case basis.
Okay, the reason I asked that, because I have a disaster in my ward. They just opened up a new Catholic school, St. Fidelis, on Falstaff. They were not scheduled to open to 2026, but they received an occupancy permit from the city, and the school is still under construction, but kids have been relocated from one school to another. It's a total nightmare. There's construction going on. Transportation hasn't completed their report. So there's kids are being dropped off at the school, and on one side of the street, there's no sidewalks. And kids are running across the street, and there's hundreds of cars just speeding along. And we're told by transportation, you can't do anything, any crosswalk, because there's no sidewalks. So that's why I'm bringing it up, because this information, where there's an issue like that, should be communicated to local staff. So, and I'm trying to deal with this because the school board is blaming the city, even though they occupied the school before the school was completed. Mm-hmm. We're being blamed for it.
Yeah, I'm happy to take that location back and coordinate internally with staff, especially in traffic operations. This is, as I mentioned, very new, and we're handling a few case by case before council endorsement and rolling it out more broadly. But part of our process is internal as well as external training. The policies that we're presenting and that were adopted by City Council back in June provide the foundation for pedestrian crossing protection guidelines that are currently under development. And we're seeking to or projecting to release those in early 2026. And at that time, we'll provide additional training to counselors and their offices, similar to what we did for the traffic calming policy and the neighborhood streets plan. So we'll be pushing that information out in the coming months. But if there's individual locations that are a priority, please let us know.
I can't wait to 2026.
Absolutely.
Because someone's going to be killed because we have all these kids. So if we can look at that. And I'm having a meeting with the school board and with transportation on it, because they should have never occupied the school when the school wasn't completed. And so we have kids just running across the street, and we're told by the city, well, we can't put a crosswalk here because there's no sidewalks on one side of the street.
Yeah, well, so we'll work with you to rectify that.
So we need to look
absolutely.
at that, because that's a concern.
Other questions of staff? I had a couple. Zebra markings, is there a standard design for them? And I'll tell you why. I saw one, I can't remember if I saw it or I saw a picture of it, but it was a piano, which was innovative. And I think there's also been ones in the news where they were different colors and things. Do we as a city follow a specific design so it's uniform or is optimized for safety?
Yep, we do have a standard design for zebra markings, both in terms of the width of the marking, the width of the bars and the spacing of the bars, the width of the lines, the width of the crosswalk, where it's placed. All of that is codified within our standard specifications and guidelines. We also have additional decorative crosswalks in the city, primarily downtown. Like I live in the Village. We have lots of pride crosswalks, which are obviously not zebras at that point. We are separately working on an updated decorative crosswalk marking policy, which once that's set will be incorporated into this as well, but that's still a little bit ways down the road. There's a lot of emerging practice around decorative crosswalks within North America. So we're basing our current development of guidelines on what's come out of TAC, the Transportation Association for Canada, and trying to develop something that is more standardized for decorative crosswalks across the city. But that's still a little bit of a ways away. So once we're there, if we want to incorporate that into the crosswalk marking policy, we'll bring that back to council at that time.
So the paint is expensive. It's the city that chooses the unpainted versus painted component, like that ratio?
Yes, it's determined based on the zebra crosswalk marking policy, which was established in 2006 because of concerns around the cost of implementation at all locations citywide. So it was determined to prioritize the locations where pedestrians are most likely to be, being signalized intersections and PXOs at first, and then it's been subsequently updated since then to include additional areas like our senior and school safety zones with council approval as well. So I assume it's something that we'll potentially hear at other community councils. There might be support for, rolling that out more broadly at all intersections. That's something that we're going to have to obviously discuss if we want to make any changes. But as of right now, what we're proposing is to just incorporate what has been most recently adopted by City Council.
Okay. Tell me a little bit about always stop controls. What's the principle behind those where we would put an always stop control? Just basically.
Yeah, basically, we're looking for intersections where there are enough conflicts between the two streams of traffic where they are generally operating with similar characteristics and traffic volumes and need to have those conflicts managed. So in a lot of locations, it's where we have two sort of local neighborhood streets intersect where there's enough volume that we need to make sure that there is orderly movement of traffic as well as the conflicts are managed between those two streams.
So is there anything wrong with a two-way stop control or a three-way?
Depending on the context of the intersection, absolutely not.
Right.
We have one and two-way stop control intersections across the city and they function just fine.
And so a common request from people is, hey, only two sides of this intersection have a stop on it. And I've seen lots of people assume that the other car was going to stop because they're conditioned to that, only to have a near miss or sometimes a crash. But there's nothing wrong with that configuration, if I understand this correctly.
Correct. If it's installed up to our standards, especially. So I know this was something that you've brought up previously, Councillor Holliday, regarding the missing stop bars and tails that we have. So in locations with one or two-way stops, it's incredibly important that we have a stop bar and the center line tail to make sure that we're indicating to motorists that they need to stop, but the cross street traffic does not.
Right.
And adding the crosswalk marking policy to allow crosswalks in those locations more often as well, especially without sidewalks, where we would add crosswalk markings across the stop controlled approaches, but not across the free flow approaches, would also be a tool that we can use to increase the visibility of the intersection to notify motorists that they need to stop, but that the cross traffic does not.
I'm over time and I take a liberty here. I have a motion to provide advice, and it basically says that stop bars and center line tail lines be made standard installations at stop controlled intersections. I don't know, maybe they are, but priority is given to those that are currently not always stop controls. Are you okay with something like this?
Yeah, absolutely.
And helpful to the process that you're working on?
Yeah, absolutely. It's something that we can also, as part of our policy rollout, we update our standards and guidelines. So we'll make sure that that's all incorporated appropriately as well.
Thank you. Any other questions? Seeing none, members wishing to speak? Seeing none, I have a small motion, so I'll speak. Thank you for the presentation on this. This is helpful, and these are things to pay attention to. I know as councillors, we often deal with really detailed requests of things like stop intersections and crosswalks and markings and so on, because that is the essence of local matters. So it's helpful to have information on that. And what we got today would just scratch the surface of the complexity of it. And I think it helps us appreciate that there's a whole lot of rules and approaches to this so that these installations make sense and that they're making things safer. One of the common things I hear from people, and I alluded to it in the questions, is people that will say, well, there's only 2 stop signs on the 4 legs of the intersection, and goodness, you need to put 2 more stop signs in there. And my answer back is, well, if it needs it, we'll put it, but if nobody hardly ever goes on the other direction, well, why would we add a stop sign? You're just going to cause people to stop and there's no other car there. And does that make it safer? It might actually make it worse because people will get aggravated and maybe they won't stop, or they'll won't pay attention, or they'll speed up faster after they've left the intersection. I mean, those are just sort of theories and things that I've observed. But I do take the point, though, that sometimes people are inattentive, or they've become conditioned that every time they stop, the other person's going to stop. And that's a problem. And I think one thing that we can do to make that better is to paint the ground. And I know that costs money, but I think it's a good investment. I'm sorry, I should have introduced my motion at the start, but we got this presentation today. I could not let it go without adding some thoughts, and you're welcome to add a piece if you want to this, but our advice back to the Infrastructure Environment Committee would read that stop bars and center line tail lines be made standard installations at stop controlled intersections with priority to those which are currently not all-way stop controls. And that's something that comes up often, but I thought that would be helpful feedback. So with that, any questions on that? Yep, Deputy Mayor Morley, please, go ahead.
Thank you, Mr. Chair, and thank you for the motion. I will be happily supporting it. I wanted to just acknowledge and thank staff, specifically Emily, for her leadership on this great work. We have been very deeply immersed in Ward 3 on all things traffic safety, road safety, and it has been really a pleasure to work with the experts within our transportation group. We have really unique conditions in Etobicoke Lakeshore that are different than a downtown in many instances, like not having sidewalks, for example, adjacent to many of our communities, like hosting schools and children. I appreciated the example that was shared as part of the presentation in front of a busy health club, school, tennis club. Like there's lots going on Montgomery there on the west, and it's a very, very busy area that we want to continue to make efforts to make safer. So just wanted to acknowledge and thank you all for the great work. We often hear about how we're 20 years refreshing policies from 20 years ago, and we know how much our communities have changed and evolved in that time. So we're grateful for the great work and happy to be supporting both the report and the motion today. Thanks, Mr. Chair.
Thank you. Any further speakers on the item? Seeing none, all those in favor of the amendment? Any opposed? That carries. That item is complete. We do have another item, which is EY 25.18. That is Albright Avenue parking amendments. We have two speakers. Our first speaker is Vilenka Sesnik. Welcome, Ms. Sesnik.
Good morning,
Mr.
Council, Chair and councillors. The neighborhood on the street of Albright Avenue, we're asking for no parking signs on the north side. There are already no parking signs from Bronze Line along Albright, and it stops at Foch. So from Foch on Albright down to Sunset is where we would like to have the neighbors no parking signs on the north side. Now, the reason we are along street, but not, it doesn't continue because there is another street that divides from Foch to Sunset, and it's Gort. So it makes it harder when there's cars parked on both sides to maneuver, especially when you have seniors, pedestrians, that for some reason, I love that street. It is a beautiful street, I have to say. We have so much traffic with dog walkers, pedestrians, like I said, school buses stop and pick up children. We have a high density of children in the neighborhood as well, especially that are coming from Gort to Albright. Now, there's no sidewalks. There's no curbs. It's the old style, I guess, of road with ditches. And the road is not very wide from Foch to Sunset. Compared to from Brown's Line to Foch, it has one sidewalk on the south side. Now, we have none. So if we have parking on both sides, sometimes cars are parked the opposite side of each other, which makes it very difficult for other cars to pass. And it's that street Gort, where many people travel to go to either up to Stratenbeck, the school, or they go down to Sunset. But mostly it seems like people that come from Sunset along Albright, and also the people that live on Gort, they also use Albright to go to Foch. Like I said, we have this beautiful school there, Stratenbeck, and it seems to be that Albright seems to be the main street that people are using. And we have daycare as well, because from Foch, you can go along Albright to Gort, and you can end up at the Etobicoke Creek. So people love walking that route. So we have lots of people that come from Sunset, there's Westney, and they love to walk during the day with their dogs and that, go down to Enfield, which is from Gort down, and then they end up coming back to Horner, where Stratenbeck is. So it is a very heavily traveled street. And the neighbors are highly, like when I was going around doing the petitions, they were in total support. Where do I sign? I said, okay, right here. I said, don't you want me to tell you more? No, just I know what you're going to say. I said, okay. So I was able to get signatures, no problem on that street. So I don't know what else I can add is all the other streets like Horner, where Stratenbeck is, Burlingame, they have sidewalks. Roseland has sidewalks, either only on one side, but Albright was missed out. And I think it was because it is a narrow street. And from Brown's Line on Albright to Foch, they have a sidewalk on the south side, but they also have the no parking signs on the north side. So it doesn't congest the street because it is narrow. So there's only parking on the south side. And I believe that this would help us, and especially in the winter with all the snow plowing and the snow, it would make it a lot easier for Ministry of Labor to, the city to be able to maneuver their vehicles to the different streets once they get onto Albright. Sorry, I'm a little nervous. Okay.
Thank you.
Yeah. So, yeah, I think I'm over my time. Thank you.
Thank you. There is a question from Councillor Nunziata.
Okay. Yeah, just a question. So what is the parking now on the street? Is there signage? Is it 3-hour parking, or is there no?
I believe at Etobicoke, when I looked it up, it was 3-hour parking. But as you know, some people stay longer.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah.
They stay for days.
Yeah. Well, I'm telling you, it's a desirable street.
Some of them work on their car on the street too.
Yes.
Which I have my words are actually.
Yes.
So there's just 3-hour parking. That's what
Yes.
parking is now. Okay.
Yes, and so it's an overflow. That street is also an overflow sometimes. Like I said, there's a lot of neighbors that have children, young children, and mothers that just had children. It's a very desirable street to walk on because it leads to different streets, and they have friends on the other streets, and it just. I don't know what else to say. It's heavily populated, with people with disabilities as well, walkers and wheelchairs.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Okay, thank you.
You're welcome.
Thank you. Are there any other questions? Seeing none, thank
Okay.
you for coming.
Thank you.
Our next speaker is Megan Lawrence. Welcome, Ms. Lawrence. You've got
Hello.
5 minutes.
Okay, so I'll just be really, really brief. I think Val has sort of covered everything, and you'll have to excuse my voice. I've got vocal cord damage.
Can we just
Bring it
get
down.
that tilted a little closer?
Okay, I probably won't sound much better.
Much better, thank you.
Okay. So the only thing that I sort of wanted to go over quickly, Val sort of covered it, but the safety aspect. So it is not just the flow of traffic that we're concerned about. It is the safety of all the people that do use those streets, and it is heavily trafficked. I think it was sort of overlooked that between Browns Line and Foch Avenue, there is one sidewalk, and yet there's only parking on that side of the street, on the south side. And then you look at our section. Now we've got no sidewalks on either side, and yet parking is somehow allowed on both. It causes huge issues with traffic flow and, again, more importantly, safety. So I think that was all I sort of needed to reiterate, and if you have any questions.
Thank you. Are there any questions of the speaker? Seeing none, thank you for joining us.
Thank you.
Are there any other speakers on this item? Seeing none, questions of staff? Seeing none, Deputy Mayor Morley to speak.
Thank you so much, and just want to acknowledge both Val and Maggie for taking the time to join us, but also your initiative and your leadership in the community to get the petition going, to connect in with the neighbors, and to work with my office to bring this forward. So thank you so much. As we heard about, Albright is a 2-lane east-west local road. The width is approximately 6 meters, so we know that's a little bit more narrow than most streets. It does have a 30-kilometer speed limit. Currently, heavy trucks are prohibited. There's no TTC service provided. And also importantly, as we heard, there are no sidewalks on this street. As a alumni of Surratt Beck School, I do know the area very well, not to age myself, but that was back before the new building. It was back when I was at the school there, but I do know there are an incredible amount of young families in the area, seniors in the area, empty nesters and the like, that do walk quite a lot. And so we want to continue to maintain the safest possible conditions for the community. The proposed changes before us would ultimately result in the loss of approximately 8 parking spaces on the one side of the street. And we do believe and agree with the local residents that it will have a significant impact in terms of an improvement to safety for local pedestrians and area residents. So the petition that did come to us was signed by over 70 residents on the street. It's my understanding, and we heard from Val that everyone was excited to sign it, so pretty much everyone is included there. We wanted to make sure that we supported, again, the desires of the local community in alignment with our goals around pedestrian safety. So the amendment addresses a longstanding problem, reduces overflow parking from Queensway businesses, and improves safety overall and access to the neighborhood. So we'll be moving the staff recommendations to proceed with parking prohibitions on the one side of Albright, and hope to have the support of my colleagues. Thank you.
Thank you. Are there any other speakers? Seeing none, Deputy Mayor Morley moves the recommendations. All those in favor? Any opposed? That item carries. Okay, we'll go back to the list of items. Our next item is EY 25.24. This is one of the items that was added. That is the fee removal for lifting of hold applications. Questions of staff? Seeing none, Councillor Nunziata.
Yes, I'll move the recommendation.
I actually want a recorded vote on it. A recorded vote on the item, if you please, Madam Clerk.
All those in favor of adopting the item before you, Councillor Nunziata, Councillor Morley. Any opposed? Councillor Holiday. Can I just check on Councillor Peruzza's whereabouts?
He's not with us.
Thank you.
Thank you, Madam Clerk. Next item is EY 25.25, Grovedale Avenue, between Erie Street and Blue Springs Road, traffic calming, Ward 5.
I'll move.
Nunziata.
Yeah, I'll move the recommendation.
All those in favor? Any opposed? That item carries. Final item is EY 25.26, 250 Wincott Drive and 4620 Eglinton Avenue West, Development, Ward 2. Item's been circulated. Any questions of staff? Any members wishing to speak? Happy to move the item. All those in favor? Any opposed? That carries. Don't go away. We've got introduction of bylaws. Madam Clerk. May I have a volunteer to read that? Deputy Mayor Morley.
Thanks, Mr. Chair. Happy to move that bills 846 to 848, bills 859 to 866, bills 956 to 961, and bills 991 to 996 prepared for the September 17th, 2025 meeting 25 of the Etobicoke York Community Council be declared as bylaws and passed subject to section 226.9 of the City of Toronto Act 2006.
All those in favor? Any opposed? That carries. Madam Clerk, we have one more? Yep. Another volunteer? Deputy Mayor Morley.
I love reading out loud. Thank you, Mr. Chair. Happy to move that confirmatory bills to confirm the legislative proceedings of the Etobicoke York Community Council acting under delegated authority at meeting 25 on September 17th, 2025 be declared as bylaws and passed subject to section 226.9 of the City of Toronto Act 2006.
All those in favor? Any opposed? That item carries. Madam Clerk, I'm going to confirm with you that there are no remaining items of business. Correct. Just before I adjourn the meeting, I will thank everyone for all of their contribution today. A reminder, community planning staff, you've been asked to stay behind for a special event. But other than that, thank you to everybody for attending today. The meeting is adjourned.